Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so let me just start the presentation. Right, I want to talk about building with Octane, the newest, the first and new, the first new edition of Ember, and it is basically well, yes. I'm Alberto. I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. You can find me in Twitter, Instagram, whatever, like with that handle. So even Discord, if you are on Ember Discord sometimes. So I'm gonna talk about what is Ember Octane. I don't, as I say, I won't dig like pretty much in definition, but I wanna take some time to define what the features of Octane are, and then I want to start talking about the project I start building, and then I'm gonna show a demo, and then I'm gonna walk through the section of the app using Octane, like why or how to do it. And well, I'm gonna just touch deployment for a second. It is deployed on Surge, so it is pretty easy to set up. So disclaimer, this is my experience with Ember Octane. I'm sorry, I am not an expert. I'm just someone trying out the new things. And probably, I'm talking to the future of someone, like if you are reading this in the future, probably this is outdated by now. So, well, because we are running in Canary, like Octane. So, okay. So what is Ember Octane? Ember, this is a definition. I grabbed this from a blog post from Chris Garrett. Pretty much, it is a set of features that has been developed by the Ember community for a couple of months, maybe sometimes years, and as a whole set of features, like it marks a point where Ember is ready to tell the wider JavaScript community, like, okay, we did something great. We want you to show. I mean, because the versioning of Ember, like Ember has 6 week cycle releases, so
yeah,
it's pretty hard to let the wider community like to know when it is okay to look at Ember. So pretty much an edition is a marketing decision about the framework, like, and it is pretty. I find it helpful because I have so many friends using React and Vue, and even Angular, and like with this edition, I can just for the first time actually like please try Ember. So I'm happy for that.
a bunch of caveats or something.
Yeah. So these resources are the ones that I recommend. Chris Garrett blog post about Ember Octane are super good. Okay, you can find Chris Garrett as Puswar. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna touch Octane features now. Like as I said, these features have been in development for many months, even years. So they all now landed. So or are landing as we speak. So pretty much is Octane templates. What is that? Is like you can now see see like where are all the variables and properties of a template coming from. Like you will just think like, okay, this is coming from outside. I mean, somebody have experience with component-based development. So in Ember was a problem, like you didn't recognize like, okay, is this coming from outside? Is this coming from inside? Is this a property of myself or whatever? Or is this a helper? So what I mean with Octane templates is like the whole set of new way to write templates and to be explicit about what you are referring to.
Yeah.
It helps a lot because recently I onboarded a few developers to a Ember source code base without Octane templates, and it was pretty hard. I mean, even for me, like I had experience with that code base, and I was okay. Let me just grab some time and remember like where is this coming from? Is this passed by? Or so the first thing I will recommend if you are going to the Octane way is like just focus on templates. It will be easier for anyone to jump in your project. So, well, another part of the features are angle brackets component invocation, which will in Ember we use handlebars. to define components and very much JavaScript functions in templates. Like we mix HTML with handlebars templating language, and with Angular brackets, it's just a new way to invoke components or in the templates. It looks pretty similar to how React or Angular or Vue calls components. So it is pretty much like to embrace the wider community. No? Okay, so, the splatter attributes are just a way to pass HTML attributes to your components, because maybe your components receive a class name, a class, so you can just pass down the HTML attributes, as well as naming arguments that you can just be pretty specific, are pretty legible of what you're passing down to the component. Like, what are the arguments of the component? Like, you start thinking about components as functions, easier to reason about. Yeah. Also, the element modifiers is a way to, this is a new, in Ember, there's always a way to, it has always been there, the action modifier, that you can just, I will show you some examples because maybe there is no one here with, I don't want to suppose like you know what I'm talking about. So maybe with some code examples, you will be more. Okay, so also the native classes, Ember predates many of the JavaScript features that now are natively implemented. So Ember the creators of Ember had to basically build their own tracking system about computed properties and many more things. So we had like if you jumped into Ember, you have to learn the Ember way, like to some stuff that you are not like, this is not JavaScript, this is Ember, So with native classes, we finally got rid of the Emberism, and we are just embracing the wider community, the wider ecosystem of JavaScript. So very much, if you are using classes in JavaScript now, you can see a class in Ember and this, okay, I know what this is doing. Also, the new API of the Glimmer components, which gets rid of a lot of lifecycle hooks and a lot of properties and attributes. Properties maybe is a correct way to say it. Classic components in Ember were too big. They had so many things to know about. Even coming from outside, you could see a template and then look at the DOM and you see like, okay, how this translates to this, like what. So in the Glimmer components, they are simplified and easier to reason. We will touch it in a bit. Also, what I'm most excited of, to be honest, is tracked properties.
Yeah.
Because basically, I hated the get and set, like so bad. But they were middlewares to the to the observers system in Ember, so you had to use it because they were not using native gators of the JavaScript. So now that they are using it, I don't know. I don't know the details, but programming with track properties is just like so relieving. Also, no jQuery. This is something that the wider community was like kind of agnostic, like okay, why jQuery if it is not? jQuery was created in terms of compatibility. So you didn't need you needed jQuery because of the incompatibilities between browsers. So that was the baseline, the bottom line. And now that the browser had like in many terms like stabilized, jQuery is no longer a requirement. So an Ember out import is just a way to install packages like super easy, and npm packages. That was pretty hard. You have to make some add-on to import just a plain package, npm package. But this is a pretty big deal in Ember, and now it's like super easy. Okay, so on to project definition. The project requirements. It was like before preparing this meetup, I was like this. I want to use as much of Ember Octane as possible in the bleeding edge. I want to use at least one popular JavaScript non-Ember asset library, like just npm install it, well, Yarn at, because I am using Yarn now. Okay, it has to be 100% front-end. Front-end, I mean, ain't nobody got time for that. For backend.
Nobody got time for that.
So it has to be performant, minimize the dependencies, and Ember Clutter as possible. I mean, I wanted, if someone sees the source code, even from a React perspective, I understand everything. So I wanted to minimize the Ember, the Emberism. Yeah. Vanilla SAS, CSS, I don't want any Bootstrap or Material or whatever. Fast and easy to reason, and just an MVP. And something useful. Or no more to those tutorials, please. I want it to be scalable, powerful, and free. So that's pretty much my requirements to whatever I was going to build. No? So I was talking with a friend, like, and he told me, like, just do what people want to do. Like, I told him, what is that? And he told me, like, people want to make money. So I told him, okay, let's explore that solution, and we end up with an e-commerce idea. So here's the stack I'm using. I mean, the set of technologies I'm using to develop this project. I'm using Ember, Octane. I couldn't find the logo, the edition logo. We're using Algolia to store and query our data without any backend. I mean, we are manually inserting this. We're using PayPal as a checkout because it is easy to implement, it is widely adopted, and it has so many integrations. I mean, I'm thinking big. I mean, if I want to grow this MVP, I can just probably just do it with this. And I never knew there was some services from the front end that you can just send emails. That was pretty something new for me, but there is. That one is a good one if you want to check it out. So that's pretty much what we're going to use it. The main requirements for the application is lightweight, no Ember data, plain SAS, a grid of products, a product detail page, and a cart checkout page, and full Octane, of course. In the terms of requirements for the data, I didn't want any backend involved. It has to be host. I don't want to hard code anything. It has to be powerful, fast, and performant, schemaless, so I can just, or someone can grow from here. It's indexing and querying, and flexible and scalable, and of course free again. The same for checkout, PayPal, and yeah, I think you can see how hard I want to be free. I mean, and serverless. So this is the MVP. I'm gonna just show it before I can start digging in the code. So okay. So we have here since Algolia powered e-commerce. I don't know if you like Pink Floyd or the Beatles, but I do. Okay, so I mean, I know maybe you are familiar with the smoothness of Elastic Experience Search, but this is like super fast for me. It is like what that was a query into the like. That's what I love from Algolia. Like you can check the network request and you will see how Beatles.
Wow. Yeah, that looked more like client-side filtering.
yeah, but it is not. Yeah. If you see the timing, like look at this, 23 ms, and it is pretty powerful. So you can just start like filtering with tags. Well, the Beatles, and so you have pagination, and you can enter an album. You can just keep adding to cart. You can see the cart like just like this. You can see the total right here. You can add more, and you can check out with PayPal. Obviously, this is a sandbox. But you can. Okay. But I'm gonna do the full journey just to show you the email part. Okay. is PayPal. Okay. So pay now, and I'm gonna just accept the whatever robot is saying. We get an email just sending us the total, the card basically. So pretty much you can ship this. I mean you will have many stock problems like, but it is usable. Like it is not a to-do list. I can deploy this and. Word. I closed them by mistake, I think. Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna dive in. I mean, that was the whole demo. It is responsive. It is just plain CSS. I actually kind of didn't expect that.
Just bear with me. I don't know why it's doing that.
So, in features, project definition, for requirements. We have the stack. We have the more requirements, demo. So, talking about our coding. I mean, this is the structure of the application. We have a application route with the navigation in the top. We have an index route that will show the product grid. We have the detail and the card checkout experience. I mean, just let me know if you want me to go faster in this or slower, okay? So this is the application route, the whole route. And this will be our changing routes. I don't know if you are familiar with single page applications, but pretty much we are changing the content based on the URL. So, okay, I'm gonna split my website in components. So this is my page title component. This is my facet component. This all is reading from a service called listing. Like I can generate this from a service in a loop. This is my product component. And this also this comes from the model hook in the index route from Ember. So this is the detail page. It's pretty simple, just repeating the pattern of the page title, and we have just the input component from Ember. This comes natively from Ember. So this is the card, the page title again, and we have this that reads from the card manager service, which is the one that I want to focus on later, which is great in my opinion. And this is the PayPal button component. So data and models. So if you have experience with Ember, you probably know about Ember data. If not, it is a library for handling data in your application. Like you can fetch, gather more data, relate them, and just like make more queries and stuff, persist the records, and it's like a library for handling data. So it is actually kind of heavy for a read situation. We are just reading data here. We don't need models actually. I mean, we don't need to store them. We don't need cache or whatever. We can just fetch more and whatever. I'm in a project called Ember Weekly that they don't use Ember data at all, and I got out the mindset of that. Like, don't use Ember data if you don't need to. Like, Ember doesn't depend on Ember data at all. So basically, I built my own model system, and it's all based on track properties. This is first the Algolia schema I'm saving, just at JSONs. Elasticsearch is, maybe you're familiar with this. I have just let me give you a more concrete example. These are just JSONs that I end up uploading. I wrote this manually. It was kind of tiring, but maybe I can just, I mean, yeah. I will show you in the end what I did to don't repeat this. Okay, so we have JSONs, we have price, brand. I want to be agnostic. Like I can say sell t-shirts, so I would call it brand, not music. I mean name of the band or whatever. And the description, I didn't have time for that. artwork, and whatever. The tags will be used for filtering. So I had to model this in Ember with the track system. So this is my product model. If you, I define my own. I mean, you can define models like a normal directory and start writing classes. So this is my model, all tracked. So it is pretty cool because you can just do like instance.price equals 10, and if that instance is reference in their template, it will just update automatically, and that's mind blowing for me.
Man.
So
Yeah.
it's like reactive, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super reactive. I mean, I don't know if it is. Okay, just forget it. Okay, so this is not the whole code from this model. I will just show. I have a constructor with just sets. I mean, I pass the data and start setting the properties. I first did something more dynamic, like a base model that did this for me, but actually Chris Garrett told me don't do that. So okay, I mean be explicit about why you can set, and so I came back to this approach. And also every class, I don't know if you're familiar with, but there's a to JSON. So if you call stringify, it will call this automatically. So since the track properties are on the prototype, not on the instance, or I don't know, that's something gurus know. I don't. I have to do this because if I called like stringify on a track property instance, I mean in an instance of an object with track properties, they wouldn't come out. I mean they won't be like parsed. I don't know. So this was the approach. But pretty much every class I talk about has this same structure. Like I have a to JSON and a constructor with just sets. Okay, so this is a product model, and this is a product in card model. I couldn't come with a better name. So it is just a model which holds a product and a quantity, like how many are in this, like from this product in this card. And pretty much the same constructor and to JSON. Okay, so the index route. Pretty much the index route is the one that is keep fetching queries to Algolia. So I wanted you to just refresh the model hook every time something has changed. So query params, this is the way, this is the way Ember handles query params, at least until now. I don't know if it will be changed because I know they are making a service or something. So this is the way today they are handled. You define them in the route, like okay, these properties are being watched and placed on the URL. Every time they change, I want the model to refresh. So if I set query somewhere, the property query, the model hook, the function will be refresh again, will be run again. So if we and the model hook is just fetching, is just using the service listing to search. I'm gonna go deep in search right now. I mean in a bit. So there is the controller. This is something Ember handles for us too. We have to make the bindings to the query params. The defaults, we say the query starts in nothing. Facets are an empty array. The page is page 1, page size 20. So every time the query params actually come to the default, they won't show up in their URL. That's something cool. So there are some actions. That's one thing. We are using, I forgot to say, but we are using just native classes now. If you didn't notice, I'm gonna just go back. We are not using index route.extends or route extends something like in Ember previous version. In the classic version, we are just using native classes and decorators, which are they are in second phase of the proposal to implement them in all browsers. I don't know, but basically they are wrappers or middleware. They receive a function and transform it. Basically, that's internals. So they can enhance or augment properties on whatever. That's what decorators do. I didn't say, but these are decorators too. Every time you say, I mean, you see an add an property, they are decorators. They are just wrapper functions that return another function augmented. Okay, so the action decorator, it automatically binds the instance. So whenever you call this function, there will be you can be sure the context of this function has this instance.
Nice.
Well, so this enables a pattern of you can just use actions in services like and call them from the template without worrying about the context passed.
Like,
So this
what
is
the value of this? You already
yeah,
know it's
okay.
that object, that class.
So that's pretty cool. This is the only place where I use set in the whole application. I don't know why query params doesn't work with tracked. I asked and they like told me like to basically fuck off. I don't know.
It's just Robert Jackson. Dude. Like Robert Jackson's like the only one who's just like shouting down. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's like the most shouting down one of all movies. This is kind of coming down.
Yeah, yeah.
On the no, it's like this and that's it.
Yeah. Yes, pretty
Everybody else
much.
is like, hey, we're a team. And
Pretty much. But yeah, this is the old. Okay, you can see that this is the old approach. Like everywhere in Ember Classic, you will see this dot set like this. So with the new track system, you won't see this anymore. But this is the only case I couldn't. I mean, this is a short definition of the class. If you see the, I mean, I forgot to pass the slides. If you want to just get the, I mean, you don't have to take notes or whatever. I have the URL. I don't know if you want to enter, but here is it. Just as a reference.
Okay.
But because it is all linked. So okay.
Just put on Meetup.
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
Get it up.
Oh, sorry. Like, it's bit.ly.
Where's the listing service coming from?
The-
That's not an Ember thing. Send it.
The listing service.
Okay.
No, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, I define it. I will go like into it right now. I mean,
What
just
does the service decorator give you?
I'm sorry.
What does the service decorator give you?
Okay, it injects. Okay, in Ember,
Okay.
there is a dependency injection pattern of like you can just inject objects in other classes or objects. So the creator of service is just injecting the object, so you can refer it and access the data or the properties there.
Are your services singletons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or singleton, yeah. So back to the okay. So the controller. I want to use the full controller. Have a bit more functions like toggle facet, but I mean I didn't want to. I mean I couldn't put this in the slides. But basically, it's just a way to set the query params. Like every time that the user interacts, I want to set to like go to the life cycle of the route again, like to the model and render a new set of models. So, okay, that's the controller. The controller is a singleton, and it lives through the whole application. I mean, through the whole level of the application. So everything you set here will live for the whole duration of the app until the user refreshes. So that's why we have to set something to reset the controller or something. Okay, because if not, the user will come to the later state. If that's maybe that's what you want, but sometimes not. Okay. Okay. So this is the template. I deleted a lot of dips and whatever. Just the bare bones. Basically, it's an input, which this is a modifier. This is new in Ember. On input, you can basically place in any HTML element this helper, which says on input, on click, on hover, on submit, execute this function. Okay, so this is pretty much what it is doing, and the value of this input is this query, the property defined in the controller. So every time the user inputs, I receive the event in the, let's, for example, this change query. I receive the event, so I just say e.target.value. I get the DOM event. So, and I want to, I mean, I could have just use the input helper from Ember that do this for us, but I wanted to make sure the page also refresh. I mean, restarted. So we couldn't just do that. I mean, I noticed in the airport. So this is pretty much a list of facets. Facets in Algolia is a concept of basically. I want to just open the dashboard of Algolia. It will be easier to explain, I guess. So.
Okay.
Hey. Okay. So this is the facets, like how I can filter and start filtering my data. I can have many facets, and I can query like give me all the facets. So I build the UI based on a query like give me all the facets. So, and then when they interact with the UI, I build the query and send it to Algolia. Like he will return very fast. So basically this is a list of facets, and this is a list of products. What is returned from the model hook. The next step is just showing you how this is actually done in the service, listing service. It is not that big, but let me just show you in GitHub. This is what I mean. I made a model called Algolia result. I want to show you that in a second. I think that is not actually in my presentation, I forgot it, but I can show you here. Models, Algolia result. Oh, pretty much it's an array of hits, a total of how many hits I got, and a total pages, and I just built it. I actually don't use it. I just made, I just thought like, maybe I want to know what is the last. I mean, I use it for I lied. I use it for the total pages and to build the pagination on the bottom of on the screen. So basically, in the constructor, we don't use init anymore in Octane. We just use constructor, which is pretty awesome because init is like something about Ember or whatever. Constructor is like how you expect like an instance of a class to initialize. So I just said in the window Algolia, but this is something I do in an instance initializer. Okay, so I just query for all the facets, and for each facet, I just make a new object, like pretty much of a new model. Okay, let me show you that model. That's the last model, I promise.
Okay.
It's just a key because when we query Algolia, we have to say like query for this brand. Oh, I mean, brand name Pink Floyd, for example. Like, so I save the brand, I save the actual filter. I mean, I say the key, I say the actual filter and the count. So we can build UIs of based on how many of these new set of models we have in this tag. So, I mean, in this facet. So, and the function. This is the async function, which is pretty awesome. I mean, you can just use async in Ember. I mean, I didn't know you couldn't, but I know you can now. So it is cool, and it is. I always put actions in my services, so you can just use it from anywhere. Just ignore this. This is pretty much nothing. What is important here is I'm building a query just about how I receive. This is coming from the model hook. If you see, I get the query property, the page size, and the facet filters. I just build the query as Algolia expects it, and I just build the object here and I send it. And for each hit I get return, I make a new product. And the hit, these hit satisfies the constructor. I mean, if you see the product, I mean,
It has all the properties.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much it. This is a hit. So and I saved this in a last result, que es Algolia struct that I showed you before. The last I said struct. I'm talking in JavaScript, not Golang. Okay, so basically that's pretty much I resolve with the results, and the model gets an array of products, and in the template I just loop them as you will have seen here, and I just pass down the product. So
Awesome.
What's the difference between on input at the top and the on click that you're using? So is that really, you use that @ symbol to pass in stuff?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm passing down just a property,
Okay.
and in I want to show you how it looks from the inside. It is just like when they click on the inside, I want to like execute
Yeah.
the I mean, it's data down action sub.
So your on click is actually something defined in the product component, right? That's not like a built-in feature of Ember.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm just passing. I could pass like here, for example, name equals Alberto, and I can access that property inside with the same syntax like add name, but I'm passing down here an action. Like this go to product is an actual action defined in my controller. If I go here, probably go to product, I transition to a new route with the product that is passing. It is bubble from the inside.
Yeah, it's like an event emitter or something.
So
Why?
that's
I don't understand it. I don't know if it's being triggered or put some tape on the sensor.
so this is how the facet component looks like inside. As shown before, I made a list of facets here, components, which get past a facet, and I can pass class depending on some condition, like pass active if this condition is met, like if this facet is actually in the array of facets. So I'm passing active conditionally, and this is a template only Glimmer component. Like you don't have the definition of a class. This is just a way to split your UI in different templates, but they don't instance a JavaScript object behind, so they are pretty fast. So basically, I receive the facet, and I'm just on click on this element. I just bubble down what this is a new helper in Ember, is fn, which recalls a function, and you create a closure here that will be called later with these arguments binded. So
Looks like Lisp.
yeah, kind of. So on click, I'm gonna execute on the on click pass by the parent, and I'm gonna bind the facet that you pass me down, because you can see how clear it is a template right now in Ember, because these are properties passed by the parent.
That's cool. So it's not just part of the model. It's actually something that you know is a property.
Yeah, it's an argument to the component. So facet.name, facet.count, you know they are coming from where they are coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the product component, template component. If you look, it's the same approach on click, because maybe I don't want to transition to another page. Maybe I want to, I don't know, show an alert. So I let the parent decide what to do with the click on this product. And I can still split the UI, and it looks pretty clean. And this is splatter roots. So here with the splatter roots, I'm passing all the HTML related attributes to this component. So as I say, I don't here in the facet, I'm passing a class conditionally. Like if it is in this array, pass active. So that's how in the UI we will see the facets being toggled as clicked, as black, because with this approach you are passing down all the HTML properties which is cool. You can pass down these many levels to another component and to another component, and you can even if you have many divs or whatever in this template, you can repeat the attributes, the split attributes. Thanks. So it's pretty powerful. It actually respects the order. If you have some classes here, like define class equals my facet, and you put split attributes later, it will override or whatever. It is pretty powerful, this approach. But well, I'm gonna just try to speed up a little bit. This is the grid route. I mean, the index route. The detail route is simpler, I guess. It just receives here a product ID, and I just query Algolia filtered by object ID with this product ID, and the hit I get, I make a new product with that, and I just pass it as a model to the route. This is the controller. I just want to make sure the quantity is in one, because they can add. I mean, they can increment the quantity they want to add to the cart, and I'm using the cart manager because it is actually pretty cool how you actually just use a template to add products to the cart. You don't actually use anything else. Look, when they click add and on click, I make a function that this cart manager, this is the binding I told about with the sigil of action. I mean, the decorator of action. You can just be sure that this is the context is implemented, I mean, binded. So this .cart .add this model is a new product, and with this quantity. So that's it. I mean, that's pretty clear for me. I mean, at least that's what I think. And if you see, I have an input which mutates the quantity is of type number, so they can enter strings or whatever. And that's it. So, I mean, obviously there is more DOM here related to how the detail pages looks like, but this is more the core functionality. So the cart route. This is the core part for each cart manager, products in cart, which are the models which have a product and the quantity. So just loop and create a table. And look, this is how clear and clean the Octane approach now seems. I can just, when they click the minus button, I can just call it the function decrement quantity, and I send which product in cart I'm referring to, because I'm in the context of this loop. So, and the plus is just increment quantity, and in the X button here on the below, I'm just deleting all from the template. I don't have any code. I think I don't have any code in the cart at all. I mean, I don't have an index route. I don't even have I do have in the controller injected the cart manager service, because I need to access it, but that's it. I mean, everything is handled in the service. So time to the real deal with, for me, this is the climax of Octane. It's the cart manager service. First of all, I have a track products in cart array, and I get to add new products in cart. I of course check if it is found or not, because I don't want to keep adding the same product. I prefer they increment the quantity of the same product, not just adding. But that's because I think that's the way to go. If it is not found, just make sure this is a method from arrays in Ember. They extended the prototype of the array, so you can just in any array add object, and they will trigger all the observables in Ember. They will make sure they notify all the properties watching this array. Okay. So it is pretty important, this concept of add object, because if we didn't have this, we had to replace completely the array with a new one, because arrays are reference. I mean, you don't get to know if a product was added or deleted, because the reference doesn't change. It is just one reference. So with add object, that's what Ember do internally. They notify every watcher, and I mean the track property systems, they are watchers. So Okay, so delete is just I'm making a rejection for the current. I mean, if the current array, I just reject with the one you are passing me. Make sure I get you a copy of the array. And I'm persisting to local storage. I want to talk about that. So if you use a refresh, they can get the card they've been using. Another methods is decrement and increment quantity. If you know, I just pass by a protein card, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, you don't have to use dot set to whatever. You use because you know that property is tracked because we defined the model previously. And this is the persistent local storage approach. I just stringify. This was pretty a big deal because I had to use the to JSON that we saw earlier. That this is awesome because it gets, I mean, it serializes everything for you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's magic for me.
Yeah, cookies no more. Local storage is the way to go.
So this is the climax of Octane at like 100%. I made a native getter, which is called total, which just returns a function which is reduce, which calculates the total of the car right now. It just sums the total plus protein car. I mean, the function is pretty clear. I think it just. But the awesomeness of this is like with every interaction I showed you before. I mean, decrement, increment, add or delete. This is triggered automatically because the track system knows everything for us. So even you might think this is a super okay, but this let me just add a couple of cities. Watching this like number calculated, this is all just by that function. Listening to that function, I'm just adding and look at that. I mean, without saying that's magic for me. Like what the fuck? What the fuck?
So
I almost throw my when it works. Like, yeah.
Ember keeps track of every variable that you use in that function for total, and it updates the total.
Yes, because if it's tracked properly, I mean, if it's tracked, it knows.
Yeah.
It notifies that this has changed. So I mean,
okay, so it's like the notification manager thing.
yeah.
Okay. Is the notification manager like just a property of the service class that you're extending?
You saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw the notification manager. So no, this is just the pop-up. I mean, I made an easy.
Oh, that's something you made yourself.
Sí.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I say sí. yeah. The notification is just a way to pop to the user like, you have added something, because actually Eric Brink told me like there is no feedback. You have to like this. This is the notification manager. Okay. So it might seem pretty simple, but this total for me is like the climax of Octane. I mean, for the track prop system. I mean, this is a native getter. No long. I never showed you a computer property here. Like, there is no computer properties. There is no definition of dependencies at all.
Yeah.
And if you see the conference or the examples of track properties, you probably will see like counter. When I did this, I didn't intend it to work like that. When it worked, I was like, okay, this is serious. Octane is serious. Okay, so I did a little bit of what programmers do. I made a crawling into an API to make something a little bit funnier. So if I visit this route, we can see how easy it is to make I get the JSON out. So this JSON satisfies our data needs. So I'm gonna just clear products in this index. I'm gonna okay. I just how you upload records, add manually, I guess here. Save. And I just important. Okay, that's how you do it. So now we can actually see something meaningful. We have a ton more of records right now, and we have show a lot of more facets. We
Yeah.
can start like filtering for rap or classic rock. Maybe there is nothing. Okay, there is. Who, how they can be together? I mean, well, here you can actually start doing some. Okay, that's not expected. I don't know. I mean, this is pretty much what I was building. Okay, so you can see there's empty state. You can add. This is all in a repo. You can just this. Okay, in Mexico there was not this button, so
It's, well, so the
It
API
appeared,
is fetching
like-
you different. Okay, cool.
okay. Well, it knows. So I know. I mean, I hope you like it. Or the source. You can find the source code in. I mean, just give me 1 second. Here in this Git. I mean, if you wanted to test this repo, you can just yarn install Ember.js and you will be there. And if you wanted to deploy, there are many ways. Heroku is one of the simpler. But the simpler way right now is Search for me. Just, I mean, at least for an MVP. You just build the app, add Search to the global, say that you do this exact command, and voila, it's deployed.
Nice.
So well,
Does search keep running after you exit the machine?
I mean, I didn't understand. I mean,
When you say deploy, like if you're on a server, you SSH into the server or something, you run surge. Does it run in the background so that you can just exit the machine and it's still running?
I don't know how it is handled. It is PaaS, platform as a service. No, I think it's a SaaS. You just deploy and they handle everything for you.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Like
So, yeah, it
like
must be
Netlify,
running.
maybe. Netlify is
Yeah.
another provider of this kind of hosting.
Okay.
This is the one that you find in the guides of Ember. Like if you see deployment, they will just push you towards this. I mean, at least for MVPs, like you can get a shareable link like pretty fast. It is cheap. I mean, all of this is using all the free licenses. So I don't know. Maybe I can sell some T-shirts here. I mean, it is pretty simple. If free, you can maybe fork it and try to play with it. Since it is schemaless, you don't have any backend. You just add properties and they will show up. So I don't know if you have any questions or anything. That will be all from me.
This is a great intro to Ember
Yeah.
Octane.
Okay.
How long did it take you to make this?
Okay.
Especially, I guess, coming from Ember to Octane, the transition.
Well, I've been working with Octane for quite a few months, kind of because I'm interested in Octane, in Ember in general. I'm an Ember enthusiast in the end. But until recently, I joined Prototypal and as a remote developer. And my first assignment was like Octaneize the whole application, the whole set of applications they have. They have a bunch. And I've been hitting the wall a few times. I mean, if you are going to try Octane, I suggest you to jump into Discord in the ST Octane channel. They are very friendly, except Robert. I'm joking.
I don't know what it is. He's like the one Nedry of the crew. He seems pretty aggressive.
But yeah, so
You don't want to edit this out, by the way.
I think coding, because of the experience I had with, it was like 6 hours maybe, the whole app, but the presentation is what it makes me. I mean,
Yeah.
we are not used to make presentations. I mean,
Well,
I don't.
No, but I will say that I follow Beto on Twitter, and he is rocking the Ember Octane hard like every day. He's doing live builds for people. He's doing great work in this Ember community, man. So Everybody give it up like hard. I know, it's not like this was any. I want to make it clear too. This is informal. We are Ember San Antonio, but whatever that means. The fact that you came out here, man. Like I said, dude, this is all iterative. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, man. Let's just take a few minutes, and then we can get something to drink, and then Isaac can take over. And I got a solid 55 minutes from my iPhone before it started yelling at me. So I think I got most of your speech on my end. So then
let me just stop.
Whatever else.